Pinterest made this. Tris made this. Tris made this. this. Tris made this.
you guys have seen different ways that they've done this. They've put money into the property in various ways via you. You've invested your cash. Your money is there. You can see it. You've painted it and, did upfit to whatever, to your rear, to the lawn, or whatever you've done to the back of your property. You're putting things back there for so you can chill, TVs, or whatever you put into the house. You put thousands of dollars into it. But here's the thing. When they take that property, you lose everything you put into the house. And that's not how it's supposed to work. Because here's what the bank is going to do. Now, here's the crazy part. When they foreclose on your property, they're going to just go ahead and sell it to the next bidder. And they're going to keep all your equity. Yeah. So that new roof you just put on, it cost you $5,000. That new driveway you just paid for $1,800. That new $25,000 or $3,000 HVAC system that you put in. All of that roofing work, all that stuff that you've done. Any upfits or upgrades to the property you put into there, all that gets usurped by the bank. They take it all. And they just say, hey, man, you couldn't pay this 1 month. We don't care what you put into it the past 10 years. Bye. They don't cut you a check on the way out and say, well, here's the money back you spent into the property, but you still didn't repay the loan. So how about we just call it even, Steven? You take your money that you put into it back. We take the value of the house and we put it on the market. But guess what happens? They do their part and put the property on the market, but you don't get anything out of it. So all of your upgrades and fixtures go towards the new valuation. So whatever that new valuation is, that's what they're going to sell the property for. And they're not going to cut you a check for the difference. They're going to keep it. And then they're going to mark it up for whatever the property value is that day, not from how much you paid for it or how much it cost back when you bought it. It's going to be based upon what it is today going forward. That's how much it's going to be. And everything you put into that property, the bank is going to usurp it. And you're out on the street with nothing. So the investment really didn't do anything to benefit you unless you protect your vested interest. And that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do. Okay? Understanding the code that supports your right to protect your vested interest is actually where you want to be. Not standing behind the bank, not standing under the bank, not listening to what they have to tell you, because they're never going to tell you anything for your best interest. It's business for them. For them, it's about how to increase our bottom line and to make more and to earn more and to keep you on the outside looking in. All right? So I'm going to tell you like this. The way you protect your vested interest is via certain types of commercial filing. It's a process though, okay? It's not something you can just walk in there and do off the willy-nilly. You have to understand what you're doing, or you have to have somebody that knows what they're doing. Wink, wink. But at the end of the day, once you protect your vested interest, and it would look something like this. Let's say you've had that property for 8 years. It's cost you over the 8 years. Let's say you paid $300,000 for it. And over the 8 years you've had it, you've put about $50,000 into that property, invested upgrades. Everything, like I said, new roof, HVAC system, plumbing, whatever. All right. That money that you've chunked into that house. Okay. First thing you can do is protect the interest you have into that promissory note, which is rightfully yours, by the way. And I can prove that. I have ways of getting my hands on that documentation. We know the bank didn't give you anything for the note. We know they didn't finance your note at all. The only thing they did was create the money out of the note, but they needed your signature to do it. Okay? They use your signature to create that note. They use your signature to create that money. Your signature is power. The power of the pen power, guys. That's how it starts. Your signature creates the money. They then give you the line of credit that you create from yourself. Because it's not like you walk in there and they hand it to you. So that note belongs to you, which is why they give it back to you after you pay it off. It was yours all along. They just hold it for you as custodian, or fiduciary is the proper term, is what they would call it. But it's an illegal conveyance because they have the note and they never gave you any money. So to protect your vested interest, you have to lay claim to that legally, and you can. They don't like it when you know this stuff, but it is what it is. I get tired of watching people go down the rabbit hole with these things and get rushed and sickled like Nikita Koloff. But I'm going to drop it and give it away. I want people to understand what's out here, what's going on. You own this stuff, you control it, it's yours. You just have to take possession. Okay? Then you lay claim to the vested interest that you put into this particular situation. You lay claim to that money you paid into the property. All right? This is how it actually goes. And if you're lucky enough to run into somebody that knows what they're doing, you will never be a victim again by the bank. You will never be taken advantage of. You will never be usurped. Okay? And everything that you would put into your property, you can rest easy that it's going to be there, even if they try to throw you out. Trust me. I've seen it in court. They take you down there. They say, hey, we want to evict this guy. We want to foreclose this guy. Blah, blah, blah. And the judge says, okay, fine. But there's a matter of this commercial notice that's been placed on this. Your title is clouded, so you can't resell this property, Mr. Bank, until you compensate this guy over here for what he's vested into that property first. And then the bank looks at everybody and scratches their head. Now, what I have seen banks do is show up after they get that type of notification from a judge. They show up at the house and they say, yeah, man, we realized we tried to screw you in court. It didn't work out, but we'll give you 50 grand if you just leave. I have seen that firsthand. I was standing there when it happened with somebody I was helping some time ago. They walked in and the bank came to the house. They knocked on the door and the guy called me up. He said, hey, brother, can you come over, man? The bank is here. They're trying to get us to leave. They're trying to cut us a check. I say, well, let me see. I say, keep them right there. Do not let them leave. I got over there. It took me about 10 minutes. Got there. And lo and behold, it was like 3 representatives out there. And one guy had a little pouch with him. And they were knocking on his door. And he came out. He was like, hey, this is one of my guys. And they said, well, sir, we just want to talk to you. What can we do to, rectify this? We want to move on this property. We want to go ahead and put it on the market and get it back get it off of our REO balance sheets or whatever have you. Want to get it out there. And they said, well, we're prepared to make you an offer because they couldn't get past the documentation that we did. They couldn't just roll over him like they would do everybody else. Typically, they go to the court, get a judgment, and boom, you out of there. And they on to the next person that's bidding for your property on the courthouse steps, because that's what they do. They do this when you don't have any control, when you don't have any financial awareness and you have no financial knowledge about how to protect yourself. They'll just move right past you, man. It's like in the wind. You don't even exist. And they walk right up and they get the judge to stamp on that order, and they show up at your house 10 days later, and next thing you know, man, you packing boxes on the side of the road with your stuff in it. And they got a for sale sign in the front yard while you're doing that. And they got your vested interest, and they got your equity, and they got your promissory note. Yeah, they got everything you put into that property. But the way we do it, we put them in a position where you can't just march to the court and get that. You can get something from the court, but they're going to make you enforce what we have first before you walk us out. You're going to have to cut a check. You want me to go? Cool. I'm going to need $100K from you straight up, my boy. Let's go. And they can go get all the sheriffs they want. And the sheriff going to say, well, judge says you got to pay this first. Yeah, you can have the house. Take it. But the last 8 years or 10 years of all this money I've invested in this sucker, I want it back. I want every mortgage payment I've made. I want every insurance payment I've made. I want all the driveway poured concrete money. I want the roofing money. I want the HVAC system money. I want the dog money. I want everything. I want it all. I want the lawn care. I want all the money I've spent on this sucker. I want it back. If you want me to bounce, cool. I need my bread first, my boy. Let's go. If you can't do that, you may as well escape my property right now, because nothing's happening until I get that. And there's no judge that's going to enforce it. See, the law is the law of contracts, my good people. That's what they enforce in court, is contracts. They don't enforce feelings at the courthouse. No. It doesn't work like that. Inside of the court, it's enforceable only by contractual obligation number 1. That's where it starts. Contractual obligation starts everything. And if you have the first tier rights and claim on all the documentation in the contract, guess what? You're the man in position. So if they try to move past you and move you off, it ain't happening. Unless they cut you a check first. And I dare them try anything else. Because there's errors on omissions insurance policies that are out there on these companies. So if they make one bad step, booby trap. Now I'm taking everything y'all got. That's how it works. So they're going to play nice. But for them to play nice, you have to know what you got. You have to understand who you are, and you have to understand what position that you sit in. Otherwise, they're going to just come right in and just slap you in the mouth and take everything. So your vested interest is the only thing you have working for you post you signing a promissory note. Now, this is the reason why I'm doing this live, because I want to arm you guys with knowledge before you go to sign the promissory note. Now, if you've already signed it, there's still a way to help. You can still get your vested interest. You can still file and get your stuff and protect yourself, yes. But the way you want to do it going in with the knowledge that I'm arming you with today is much better than going after the fact. Because once you get it on record first, okay, you're not Johnny come lately after they take you to court, after they try to get you to get out of the property, after they try to sell your stuff and move you out. Then you start filing stuff. Yeah, you'll get some notifications, but it's better if you have it in place first. Because once you lay claim to what's rightfully yours, it cannot be ignored. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce, everybody. That's the term. Okay? I'm big on these Latin maxims of law, which is where my name comes from. In quantum merit, it means a workman is worthy of his meat. That's what that means. Workman is worthy of his hire. He's worth everything he put into something. Pay him what you owe him. That's what in quantum merit stands for. That's what it means. Okay? So basically, it's the same thing. An unrebutted affidavit is truth in commerce. So once you file position on your stuff, they can't rebut it because there's documented evidence to support everything. So if they go on record and say, oh no, we gave him money for that house to buy that property, he's crazy. If they say anything like that, guess what? Once you go and pull the records and you show all this stuff and you file it, somebody's up the creek without a paddle. Now there's lawsuits on the hand. Now you can take everything that they have. Now you can file claims, and they're going to obviously try to settle out of court with you because they don't want to go to court. They don't want to be in court having to answer this, because if they go to court and try to answer this stuff, they have thousands of people that's going to have case law on something they just did. So you know they're going to go behind the scenes and try to cut you a check. You're more valuable quiet than you are loud. They don't want people hearing this stuff. You go to the court and you say, Your Honor, I have documented proof that these guys took my promissory note and they put it in a trust and they started drawing loans and lines of credit off of my good signature. Not theirs, mine. They even packaged my note in a pool of other notes, and now they sell them on the New York Stock Exchange as mortgage-backed securities. How about that, Your Honor? Here's the proof of that. Because that's what they do. So I haven't even gotten into the meat of it, everybody. I'm just scratching the surface. This stuff is deep. Deep. Okay? I'm just giving you the initial information just to kind of let you understand what's at stake here. I'm just tapping on it. We nowhere close to what's really going on. Understand, when they take that note, it's a reason they put it in a trust. Because they're going to now package your note, your neighbor's note, your great-grandmother's note, your Uncle Jesse's note, Uncle Phil, everybody who has a note with this bank is getting packaged. They're packaging all of these notes, okay? And then they place it on the open market for investment, which is called MBSs, or mortgage-backed securities. Now, if you guys don't believe me, Google it. Google what a mortgage-backed security is. I challenge you right now. Put it in Google, mortgage-backed security. And you're going to find that these are traded on the Bloomberg, on the New York Stock Exchange. They have Bloomberg tickers. These are all packaged as investment structures. They sell big chunks of notes on this stuff, and your note is part of it. So when they put your note in a package like that and pool it, you're paying what is called under the pooling and servicing agreement. So you're basically financing somebody else's note that you don't even know. And the good name of your note is getting coupled with somebody else's note that you don't know. And everybody is basically got their hand in. If I'm standing beside 100 people, my hand is in his pocket, his hand is in the next man's pocket, that man's hand is in the next man's pocket, et cetera, all the way down the line, and no one really realizes it. You are financing your own livelihood and you don't even know it. The money starts with you. It doesn't start with the bank. So you must protect your vested interest. Same thing for your vehicle. If you're financing a car, same thing. They're creating indebtedness out of your signature and loaning you your own money. None of them are going to cut you a check. Now, a credit union might cut you a check. I've seen credit unions do that, but that's a whole different story. They're under the NCUA, Credit Union Association. That's not the FDIC, though. That's two different things. Credit unions and banks are not under the same rules, regulations, policies, because credit unions are member-owned and banks are shareholder-owned. That's totally different. Okay? A bank cannot lend you money. They can't lend you their own money. They can create money and lend you that, but they cannot give you their own holdings. They cannot do it. I know this is a shock. If you didn't know that, now you do. Your boy in Quantum has already told you about it. So if you hear this again, know where you heard it from first. And I'm not just bloviating. I have the receipts. Plenty of them. This is real. Okay? Here's the deal. You must understand how to go and secure your position on the indebtedness that they create by virtue of use of your good credit and good name. You have to be able to do this, because I'm going to tell you something. Without it, you're walking around out there in the rain without a raincoat or an umbrella. You are walking barefoot on the hot street. You are exposed in the worst way, whether you know it or not. And if you don't know it now, you will when the sheriff show up at your house. That's how it's going to be. And there ain't going to be no crying and whining about it. They're going to say, hey, man, you got 15 minutes to pack your biggest bag and get a U-Haul up here, because if you don't, we're going to go ahead and just have a contract to come and just set your stuff on the curb, man. That's how it's going to go. And they're going to padlock your stuff while you and your children are standing there watching. That's how ruthless these jokers are. Okay? They're ruthless, man. But you gotta lay claim to the positioning that you have that's rightfully owed to you. Okay? That's your note. That's your vested interest. That's just stage one of protecting your assets and protecting who you are. There are many, many different things you got to know, but this is just one. I wanted to cover this one little nugget because I thought people needed to hear this. So I wanted to just tap on this one little area of information. Okay, just this one little area of information. So I'm going to drop a link for a couple guys if you guys want to jump up in here and listen, or, you know, talk about it a little bit. What's happening, Chris? I'm glad you're here, my man. What up, Dougie? So I'm going to drop a link so you guys can get up here and just check. You can chop it up with each other for a couple minutes. I got a little bit of time. I got classes to teach tonight. So I have a second or two to answer some questions or kind of kick it out there a little bit. So let me drop a link here. My first time dropping a link on the live, guys. I don't have a limited space on this. So I can't have like 1,000 people in here like our good brothers do on the other bigger channels. All right, so link in the chat. You guys, jump up on here if you want to talk. If you want to listen, if you want to learn something. If you want to know the interior details of what's going on behind the scenes and how these guys are chopping the tree down, I'll give you what I got. I'll share what I know. Because in our community, we've built a really good community. And I think we all have to give something back to each other, man. Making money is great. Doing our thing on these lives are great. Talking about our Panther football is great. Whatever else we do on our respective channels is great. But at the end of the day, we have to be a support system for each other, man, because they're not really out here sharing this information with people. They're not teaching us anything. They're not sharing this information. They're not sharing this knowledge. They're going to utilize this information to kind of keep you in a catastrophic state of mind where you feel that you are the one that is obligated to them. That's the whole point. That fuels the system. That fuels the engine. All right? That's the game. So the more that they can actually put you in a position to make you believe that you are who they want you to be, the more you'll support their schematic. When in fact, the schematic all begins with you. I got stories, man. Like, say, for instance, I know this one situation where a guy that I know, he called me up. He said, hey, man, he had a nice house, $500,000 plus house, south side of Charlotte. And everybody that lives in Charlotte and been around the city, you guys know what's on the south side of Charlotte. I don't have to tell you. And this is 18 years ago when properties down there were probably $500,000 cheaper. But this is 2024. This isn't 2008. Okay. Back then, a $500,000, $600,000 house in Charlotte would actually run you about that. Now it's well over $1 million, specifically if you're going to the South Park and Barclay Downs and Valentine and Piper Glen and Carmel and all those areas out there, Sardis Road North, that whole region, Ray Road, Lawyers Road, all that down there, all that Valentine money. The guy called me up and said, look, man, I got this notice in the mail. He's going through a divorce. He said, man, we split up, but they're trying to get me out of the property. So what do I do? I said, well, let me see your let's meet and let's take a look at your file. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what they're trying to hit you at. What up, Derek B? He said Valentine. Yeah, man. Hey, they'll get you out of there fast because that side of town, they're always used to cooperation and compliance. They don't want a whole bunch of ratchet stuff going on over there. Like, I guarantee you, the police presence is different on West Boulevard than it is in Valentine. So you better believe if you live in Ashley Park, you're not going to get the same type of police response as if you live over off Fairview Road. Okay, you're going to get a totally different police response. You're going to get a totally different mentality with the neighbors and the people that your HOAs are even different. Totally different. So the guy I know called me and said, hey, man, yeah, Derek B said he's living in Marvin. Yeah, Marvin is big time, brother. You out there close past Weddington. See, Weddington, boy, you got Stratford over there. It's some big suckers out there, man. Woo! Marvin got the spots, man. Marvin, boy, if you living in Marvin, man, Weddington, Marvin, all that area down off 16. Boy, you sitting on a couple of dollars. And those are the last places you want to be when someone's trying to take something that you rightfully own like that, man. That's multi-million-dollar real estate over there. We're talking 2.5 to 15, 20 million bucks out that way, even more in some aspects or whatever have you. It's money out there, man. Real money. I'm not talking about this $200,000-$300,000 house. That's pretty good money too, but no, I'm talking about 3.5, 7 million, 8 million. Out there where all the athletes live at, that type of thing. My guy that lived over there, man, big time tech guy. He was like, look, man, I don't want to lose everything I put into this property, although it wasn't the end of the world for him, but he still didn't want to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars that he put into a property. He was like, what can I do? Now, he is pretty much in the same category with most people. This is new to them and they never heard of it. And they're like, dude, how did you learn this stuff? Well, brother, if you spent thousands of hours teaching yourself the law like I did, studying law. I would go in the law library for hours, man, for years. I would be in there for 2-3 hours a day, just studying rules of civil procedure, American jurisprudence, Uniform Commercial Code. I can go on and on and on. And I told him, I said, man, I just happen to take a liking to understanding the inner workings of the legal system and the financial system, because this is the lifeblood of our country. it perpetuates based upon your oblivion. That's what keeps it going. Because if everybody knew what I knew, there would be major constraints. Like stuff wouldn't get done. People will be protesting. So compliance and oblivion and bliss tends to keep the wheel of the machine wheel oiled, and it keeps it going. That's the strength of what they do, is to keep you blind so that you can keep being a good little joker and you keep going out there doing what they need you to do. That's how it's going to keep growing. That's the whole idea. Because if everybody knew what we were talking about, trust me, man, the system would be put on pause. But I told my guy, I said, look, man, this is what's happening. He didn't believe me at first. He did not believe in the word I said. He said, man, you mean to tell me after all these years of building my enterprise, building my livelihood, building my family, I come down to a separation or a divorce and it all goes down the toilet just like that? I said, yeah, it does. It goes down the toilet quick. And he couldn't believe it. And I say, but there are solutions. He said, well, how come I never heard of this? I said, well, you spent most of your time making money. That's why. Which is a good thing. But he didn't realize that he was ill-equipped with the proper knowledge. He was ill-prepared with the proper information. And I said, bro, dude, your property's $2.9 million. I said, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna take your property. They're gonna say, man, the landscaping money you spent on this big sucker is gonna put you. Most people don't spend that in a lifetime on landscaping. I mean, thousands of dollars on landscaping. I'm like, bro, there'll be no way I would spend that and not protect my investment, because that's an investment. A property is a big investment. That's the largest investment in most people's lives. Is your house when you buy it. Even if you got a stock portfolio worth $100 grand, that ain't nothing compared to what your house is gonna run you. Multiply that by 3 or 4 nowadays, especially in this city. A house that was 180 grand today is gonna be like 390. It's double what it was 15 years ago. And it's steadily increasing. And if you don't have the necessary clamps on your stuff, it's gonna be gone. So he said, hey man, what do I do? 2.9 million go down the drain. I said, nah, we're gonna get you locked in for. I couldn't protect him with his note because it was too late. He had already signed it. He had already went through the stuff. And by the time I pulled his actual note, people, listen to this. I have a copy of it if you don't believe me. They had taken his promissory note, and on the back, they endorsed it like a check. I know you guys have flipped over a check where you have to endorse it, where you have to put your signature before you cash it or deposit it. They took his note, flipped it over. His promissory note is to his house. To his house. They treated it like a check, because remember what I said. It was a negotiable instrument. A promissory note is basically just like a check. And the financial realm, they treated it like that. They flipped it over and they stamped it, Bank of America, on the back, and some person from Bank of America signed it. Boom. I was shocked. And he didn't even know it. I found it and he was like, wow, how did you find that? I said, yeah, man, I was shocked when I came across it, but he couldn't even believe it. He believed everything I told him from that. I said, see, your note becomes the money, man. They actually deposit your note like a check. And that's how they draw the money. I say, now, where did the money come from? If you are endorsing a check that you give to them, did they create the money or did you create it? That means the credit is yours if you have to endorse it. Do you know anyone out there that's taken a check, signed it on the back, and then handed it to somebody and they say it belongs to them unless you're endorsing it and giving it to them for free? That's generally what people will do because they don't know. You endorse the back, you hand it to them. If you ain't handing that check or an endorsed check to the bank, it's not going to be deposited in your favor. It's going to go to whoever you give it to, and they're going to deposit it at their institution in their favor. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to be standing there trying to figure out what went down. And then you're going to start getting bills in the mail versus, wait a minute, I just signed over my note that you, of course, had me endorse like a check. So that means the face value of that note is exactly what I endorsed it for. If that's the case, what did you do with it? If I signed the back of it and you're the bank, right? And you stamp it, Bank of America or Wells or Chase or whoever, and I sign it right under where you stamp it, and next thing you say, thank you, sir, for your help. We'll see you next time. And you run off of that note. Wait a minute. What did you do with it? Where did it go? I told y'all, they create the trust. The warehouse line of credit creates the money from the Fed Reserve. Now they loan you the money on the check back to you. They loan you your own money. So you have a right to claim that. You lay claim to that fund that you created. Then you lay claim to all of the expenditures and the fixtures that you have rightfully invested into that property. And you claim that. Once you have that locked down, now they can't just come and just oust you from the property. Now they're going to have to pay the man legally if they want to take possession. Because remember what I said, possession is 9/10 of the law. What's the other 1%? Attachment. And you don't have attachment. They do. As long as they have your note uncontested, they have attachment. Okay? Understand that, people. That's the deal. You don't have the note. You don't have the claim. You don't have the attachment. All you have is possession. Well, guess what? They can take possession from you by going to court and getting a judgment on you, get you out. It's a legal process, but they normally win that. Okay? They normally come in and slap you across your head when they want possession. They'll just make up some bull crap, get an attorney and say, oh, he didn't pay, and he didn't pay the mortgage for 6 months. We want him out. And the judge says, well, you got a point, man. Did you pay? The judge, and you don't know that you've already paid for the property, but they say, we have records that he never paid the mortgage. And the judge says, well, he got you there, man. You didn't pay the mortgage. So we're going to have to go ahead and just, accelerate your note. And if you can't pay the full balance of your note on the spot, they can now take possession and throw you out on your butt. That's what happens. They move you right out of that property. And they take all of your equity and your vested interest. It's gone. That's what I'm saying. You have to be able to go into the situation with teeth. Because a lot of people don't have teeth when they go in these situations. They go in there half-cocked. And what do? You hire this expensive attorney. You pay him all this money. And unfortunately, the cost is more than you can bear. And now you have nothing to defend yourself. The attorney is going to argue the legal precedence pursuant to the contractual obligation. That's all he can do. He can't protect you. He can't say, oh, my client he's owed this and he put this into the property. They can't argue any of that because you know why? It's not on record. One thing on record is the fact that they gave you a loan, quote unquote, and you didn't pay for it. That's it. That's the only thing on record. And that's why they're beating people. That's why you're losing in court. Because you don't have a record of any of the things that you've put into that property or the money that you've expended. You have no record, none. And this is how they beat you. This is how you get thrown out with nothing. All right? That's the game. But the problem is they got guys out there like me that know the game and they don't like it. We go in there and start swinging the battle axe. Like, nah, we're gonna protect the people who have a property or who have this type of stuff. We're gonna put you in a position to be able to claim your stuff and put the rightful, lock and key on this stuff. So if they want to come and take it, that's to be contested. But there is a process where you can get all of the records on your property too. You can even find where your note is. Chances are you won't be able to get it back. But you have record of where it went. You'll see which bank has it. You'll see where the note is held up at. You'll get to see all of that. You'll get to see how much they're trading against it because you'll get to see the mortgage pool that it's sitting in. I've shown people their notes, man, that's sitting in mortgage pools with billions of dollars assigned to it. The full mortgage-backed security with your note as a part of it, trading for billions of dollars on the open market, where you can actually go and buy stock attached to somebody else's mortgage, is insane. This is one of the precursors to what happened to the 2008 financial crash with all that subprime lending. All this stuff was just greed. People creating loans, creating debt. That's what happened. And they didn't give anybody a soft parachute when it all blew up. They just said, hey, man, all the money you spent, whatever, sorry, you lose it. And then your property went into an REO tape somewhere, owned by a savings and loan institution or something that took your stuff. That's generally what went down. But it's not the end of the line. It's not the end of the world. You can control your vested interest. You have to. Last week I did one on credit cards. I can do 1,000 more of these about different things that you never heard of before. Yeah, I certainly could. But this information, and go back and check out my last live if you hadn't heard it, about credit cards and what they do. This stuff will blow your mind. Be surprised how much information is kept to the breastplate with these entities. It's a lot. And they're not publicizing it. They're not sending out mail circulars saying, hey, man, come to this address. We'll give you a full presentation on what's going on. They're not telling you this at the closing when you go to sign for your property and hand you the keys. They're not telling you any of this stuff. It's the ace in the hole for them. What would it benefit them to give you this information? Zero. It doesn't benefit them to do this for you. It only benefits themselves. That's why they're not going to tell you. All right? So that's the way they do it. I want everybody to have a chance, man. Specifically, if you're putting money out there like that and you're investing in your property, that's one thing. Now, we'll talk about cars on the next live. I got to save something for later. I got a lot of other stuff to discuss, man. This is just the first two. So we've done credit cards. If you haven't heard that live, go back and listen to it. A lot of good knowledge there. And I apologize for being late today, y'all. It's, when the enemy knows you're trying to get good knowledge out there to people, the enemy's going to work against you, man. That's how the enemy goes. I got a couple pastors in here, PPP. You know how the enemy is, man. When you try to drop good knowledge to help people and do good by people and try to bring good energy, the enemy is going to say, oh, no, not today. We don't want any souls getting saved today. Nah, we're going to shoot that down. That's how the enemy works. But the whole point is, I want to empower people, and I want to give people an opportunity to protect everything that they've put into stuff. Money is hard to make, man. Easy to spend, easy to separate yourself from it, but it's extremely difficult to earn it. Okay, we're gonna have some business lives and things like that coming up too about ways to earn your money by using mechanisms that you don't know exist as well. I'm one of those gray area guys. I work in the gray. You don't get to know this until you talk to me. But there's so much out there that you guys may or may not have heard. I can't say that I'm speaking for everyone on this live, everyone that's listening to this. I can't say that everybody's heard this or not heard it. I'm just saying it's what I know and what I'm sharing. Hopefully, you guys can resonate with it so you can take the information. We talk offline, take you through some other steps to help you out. But right now, this is just about education. Now that you have it, it's one of my martial arts instructors used to tell me, now that you know the technique, now that you know the kata, you're responsible for it. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unhear what you hear. You can stick your head in the sand like an ostrich, but it ain't gonna matter. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have to be accountable for what you heard or what you know. And that's why sharing this information is very important. All right. So, my good people, I'm going to end it. Nobody chimed in to jump on. Nobody hit the link, but it's cool. We'll come back to it another time. We'll do another live and we'll cover more areas of this. And we'll get deeper because there's just so much. There's just so much. All right. So I have to get ready to go and get these classes taught for the evening. Got students waiting on us. Kind of rank these guys, get their belts and so forth, because that's what I love to do outside of talking about this stuff and my beloved Panthers. But again, everybody, it's been a pleasure. It's been a wonderful time to sit here and drop this information with you guys and share some knowledge. Hopefully I touched some people. Hopefully I spoke to some areas of parts of people's lives that they don't get to publicize and things like that. Everybody's going through something some kind of way. I understand that, which is why I decided to put this information out. Okay. Hopefully I'm touching somebody and providing an outlet. All right. So if you have my contact details, if you're on this live, feel free to reach out if you have questions about these types of things, if it relates to you or somebody that you might know, family member, friend, distant relative, whoever, anybody that can gain or put themselves in a better position with the information. All right. So if you guys do me a favor, please like this video. Shoot me some likes, everybody. I know I don't have 1 million people watching this, but you never know. Leave me some comments. Tell me what we can do to make it better, if we can. And do me a favor and share. Share the live with any and everybody that you know. All right. This has been your boy Quantum Merritt. New information, mortgages, invested interest. Title of the show. Thank you guys for listening. We out. Peace.
Tris made this. this.